intellectual, wise ones that you are?
This is so interesting. So the first time I sat in the hot seat, I had this really complex question about connecting. And I had worked it out over lunch, and it was this big algorithm, and I wanted an explanation from Abraham. And I sat down, and you called me up, and the woman that was doing the microphone at the time, we were off the stage, she turned to look at me and gave me a look that was such pure love that I had made up this whole story in my mind about what connection looked like. And there were no words exchanged. Like, I could have just gotten up and walked away at that point because it was all right there just in her look. And I immediately started to cry, and I sat down anyway, and I could not pull it together. Like, when Jerry edited the CD, I didn't even have a title. Like, I was just globbed onto the person that came before me because there was nothing really that could be said about it. So I had a beautiful example of just the perfection of having a desire and then lining up with it and then allowing myself to experience it so simply in really just a few minutes, right?
Words don't teach. It's only life experience that teaches. And words often do not reflect accurately the vibration that is within. So often, the more you talk about things, the more you contradict what you really mean. And so, strange that we offer so many words here. But when we come together in a collective gathering, it is comfortable to offer enough words that we join in a similar vicinity of vibration, and then together can move beyond.
Yeah.
But you are right. Vibration, your point of attraction, and what comes to you is not about the words that you speak. It's about the way you feel. If you feel vulnerable, you'll be speaking words that indicate your vulnerability, and law of attraction will respond with other things that promote a feeling of vulnerability, because law of attraction does not improve your life, it amplifies the life that you've already got going on. So it really is an important thing to understand vibration and emotion, and realize that that is your point of attraction, that is your point of attraction, that is your point of attraction. But maybe it's also important to say, while it is your point of attraction, it's also your point of presenting your energy. So it's what you are giving off, and you meet each other. In other words, law of attraction causes you to meet each other. That's what you saw in that beautiful exchange in the eyes of the beautiful woman. It's a meeting. And don't you always do that? If you're ornery, don't you meet up with the other ones who are? For a while we were talking about vibrational disc, and how if you're ending up in a traffic snarl and you're angry at the other drivers around, we want you to know you're on the disc with them. You're in the same vibrational vicinity, because they can't jump discs. They can't be ornery and say, oh look, there's a happy guy, let's go up there and mess his life up. There's nothing like that that can go on. You're on the disc with him. You're meeting one another. So what do you want to talk about now?
So I have a question regarding that. The timing of that was quick. Obviously, I didn't put any conditions on how that feeling would come to me. Like, I wanted to make a connection, and I put it out there, and then the universe provided, right? So,
as it does all day, every day, in so many ways that you couldn't even count them. But when you begin noticing them, then life gets richer.
Right. And part of that, though, was not having any expectation about how it would be fulfilled, that I was just open to...
Well, that's not really an accurate thing, because it isn't that you didn't have any expectation, it's that you didn't have any conscious realization of the expectation. And here's what we mean by this, and this is something that we've not talked about before. This sifting and sorting causes you to put things that you desire in your vortex. And as those things amass and law of attraction amplifies them and your inner being focuses upon them, there is a vibrational expectation. That's what we mean when we say things are always working out for you. There is an expectation, a source energy expectation. You are expected by source energy to thrive. So when you say, I didn't have any expectation, It doesn't matter how consciously you are aware of this magnificent expectation that we all have for you, but you certainly cannot be defying the expectation that we have with contradictory strong beliefs of momentum. You can't be saying, no, that can't happen, and you weren't doing that. So let's just say the expectation was there, but you were just not shouting it to the universe. And that really is the leading edge conversation that we're wanting to have with so many of you here today, is that when we talk about this vibration, this desire becoming evolved enough, expanded enough, and enough momentum that it becomes possible for you to realize it. But you have to be in the receiving mode in order to receive the idea, in the receptive mode in order to receive the idea. What we're wanting to explain in the context of what you're talking about here is, you might say, I had no conscious expectation. And that's the same thing as saying, I have not been lingering in the vicinity so that I could receive consciously the expectation of my source. Can you hear how important that is? That's so big. And we don't think you even meant those words when you said them. We think they're just words that you're used to saying. I had no real expectation about that. And what most people mean when they say that is, I hadn't been talking about it. I hadn't been writing it down. It wasn't a big goal. It wasn't something that I've been working toward. And we're wanting to say to you that so often the things that you believe that you are working toward, you're not working toward them, you're working against them because you're working. Because there isn't an expectation of the natural evolution of them. Big point. You got it?
Really good. Yeah, that was awesome. That was a brief snapshot. The timing happened quickly. When there's a gap between what it is, the desire that I create, and then the universe does its thing in step 2, and I'm allowing in step 3, but time goes by. Is it always the case of there being resistance there?
Always?
Always. So,
well, resistance, yes, it's always the case. Anything that doesn't move fast is because of resistance. Esther found that out when the wheel came off her suitcase. She took it off the baggage carousel, and it's a Toomey bag, and she's always said it almost pulls itself. It rolls so easily, but it wasn't rolling at all. And she realized that a wheel had broken off during the flight. So she had essentially a sled and a lot of resistance. It slowed her way down. And so it is always resistance that slows things down. But we don't want you to work too hard in trying to identify precisely what the reason for the resistance is, or even what it is, because your attention to it just adds more momentum to the resistance.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So it's better just to acknowledge there might be a better time to drag this sled through the airport than now, like when it has a wheel on it.
Okay, I got that.
Yeah. Enough?
Enough.
Really good.
Thank you.
Yeah.